Fantastic. Thank you, Jen. Next up, a stalwart designer and art director. Please welcome Chandana Ekanayaka.
Okay. All right, story time. My 9-year-old son, Cody, told us recently that he didn't feel like he belonged here. He's born and raised in the Seattle area and goes to a mostly white elementary school. He didn't quite know how to express it, but I understood what he meant. When I was around his age, my family left Sri Lanka and immigrated to the US. My parents wanted to leave the Civil War behind and raise us in an environment with more opportunities and less chaos. Without understanding English, the transition was difficult. They worked odd jobs to build a life for us in Maryland, and I kept quiet, focused on my grades, and tried to blend in as much as possible in school. The initial experience of keeping quiet and staying out of trouble stayed with me for a long time, even as I got older. I did my best to hide my cultural differences away and to try to look, dress, and act like everyone else around me. And the last thing I wanted to be was the foreign brown kid that got singled out. Both of my parents worked multiple jobs, which meant my brother, sister, and I had time to ourselves unsupervised. Most of the time was taken up with video games and TV. We got an NES, and I loved it from the first time I played Mario Brothers. We had 2 games, Mario and Metroid, and I remember playing and replaying those games for months on end. Most often when I turned on TV, went to the movie theater or started a new game, a white main character would stare back at me. No one quite looked like me, but that wasn't the norm. People accepted it. I accepted it because, well, we didn't know it could be any other way growing up. Of course, there were exceptions. I didn't see many prominent examples of people that I could aspire to in the media or someone that I could identify with that looked like me. I think Dhalsim was culturally the closest example I remember at the time, but I didn't quite care for his fighting style. Chun-Li for life. I remember how excited my parents were to take us to see Short Circuit, about an Indian scientist and his robot. We didn't know at the time the only real thing about the movie was the robot. The Indian guy was fake, played by Fisher Stevens in brown face makeup, and like Apu, a stereotypical characterization. So why does this all matter? How does seeing someone you can identify with in a TV show, movie, or game make things better? With more diverse voices, we get more interesting, authentic stories and experiences. These stories humanize a culture that we don't know much about, and they inspire new creators to dream. Black Panther, Moonlight, Master of None, The Big Sick, Get Out, and many other stories are breaking barriers and redefining what kind of stories can be told by people of color. Especially inspiring given our current political decline, outright racism, sexism, anti-immigration sentiments in the US. For most of my career, I've been in teams with mostly white male devs, with some people of color. Often I felt like my voice was diminished, and I had to work twice as hard, be more assertive than everyone else to have say in the process. I watched my white colleagues take on leadership roles and were allowed to succeed or fail as individuals. Often when people of color are in leadership roles, they don't get to fail as individuals. There's a burden and a responsibility that they carry with them. It's not just a show, movie, or game failing. It's them failing the culture they represent. It's the possibility of closing doors and limiting opportunities for future generations. In film, TV, and in the game industry, the decision makers who greenlight projects tend to surround themselves with people that are like them and pick what they know. The global market is shifting, and thankfully we're starting to see more demand for entertainment with diverse characters and ideas. Over the last several years, I've been inspired by indie studios like Supergiant, Clay, Campo, and Fulbright, all making games with more diverse voices and being successful at it. It's given me the courage to start up Outer Loop and start telling stories that are meaningful to us, which hopefully will resonate with you too. Even though I've had a long career in games, I feel like I'm just starting to find my voice and ignite that fire that's been dormant for a long time. I'm more passionate and inspired by the type of games being made now than ever before. It's always hard to make games, but this is a good time to be doing it, and it's never too late to start. Going forward, my goal as a studio head are twofold. First, collaborate with awesome people that normally wouldn't get the chance that they deserve, and second, do whatever we can as a studio to help usher in a new generation of creators and designers. Their opportunities to mentor students, game developers have been a joy. Our first project, Outer Loop, deals with themes of reconnecting with culture and post-colonialism. I'm so excited to be collaborating with Meg Jayanth on writing and design. It's the first time either of us have worked with another South Asian immigrant on themes and ideas we both understand. We've been chatting about another game in between this project. It's a smaller game that I doubt any publisher would fund, but we're super excited about it. We're calling it Thirsty Suitors. It's a game about love, arranged marriage, immigration, and family dynamics. If anyone wants to fund it, let's chat. Word of advice, always be pitching. I want to reiterate that having diverse voices in your project is not going to make it worse. In fact, it will make it a better experience, and will open a dialogue and ideas that may never have thought otherwise. Games are nuanced enough these days, there's room to have all kinds of experiences that will connect with an audience. So as I was prepping for this talk, I asked Cody, who is 10 now, if he remembers what he said about not feeling like he belonged here. His response was, "I never said that," and turned around and went back playing Fortnite with his brother. Someday soon we'll have more conversations about representation in media. Making art, entertainment, and games sound like frivolous things, but I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Entertainment has shaped my life, worldviews, and it has the power to inspire people to dream big. Please continue to make things that interest you and share it with the world because it could positively impact someone's life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eka. I can't wait to play Outer Loops games. You've heard her speak many times at GDC.